Want to turn your passion for drawing into a full-time career? Discover our courses at Brushcamp where you become a master in the realm of digital painting. Brushcamp offers tons of similar courses in illustration, 2D, 3D design. Level up your creativity with free knowledge and courses. Visit brushcamp.com today and explore endless possibilities.
Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to Sketching course. And this time we will move to the lesson 3. Those are natural shapes, rather than natural shapes in the environment. You can see it here. I have taken out 2 examples here, which you will often meet. When you draw, there will be 2 popular styles. The first is a 2D drawing, and the second one is a 3D drawing. What is 2D? That means your pictures will be flat. You can see it a lot in flat art design. You can see it was designed by AI. This left side will be flat like this. It will be flat like this, and most of what I see, a lot of you choose this drawing style so that you can illustrate. It's flat, but it's easy to draw. It will also have its own advantages and disadvantages, which in this course we will try. Push so that it doesn't get too flat like this. Most of you are choosing the left side. This key will be towards you choosing more to the right. I'm also marking the Y's. What is the downside to it? These are the surfaces. It lacks information on the top, side, or bottom side, because it has no perspective element, so drawings like this will look thin. Do you understand? It's like a sticker. It will be flat. Because it is. That's the downside of this type of drawing. This course will aim at how you can design and draw more than the pictures on the right. You can see the difference here. We can see the top of this pot. Leaves also have more depth. Do you see? Back side, front side of leaves. It will be varied and our pictures will look a lot better compared to this picture on the left. This part in the original clip, I'm also analyzing the 2 sides. It's similar to what I'm talking about right now. So what is the advantage of drawing on the right side? That's because you have a lot of information in a redrawing of that object, so you can easily put it in more surroundings. And especially this drawing on the right side, you will often see them in real life. That means when you look at any object, it also can't create an accident. It will create a 100% straight line to your eye. Parallel all condenser lines. It's all parallel to the point where it's flat like the left side, and it's all tilted, skewed to one side. And that leads you to see the side or top or bottom of an object. That one is closer to the reality factor. Since then, when you draw illustrations, if it has more blocks, then you can easily build its story. Instead of we have to weave many flat layers together. Painting like that is not a dark thing or anything, but it will reduce the depth factor of the story in the picture you are drawing. In this lesson, I will show you how to draw shapes, which you see in nature. Here I am analyzing, for example, the picture on this side. We will be missing the one below and the one above. With the picture on this side, we will see more, analyze more. And this is a picture in nature. I'm taking any picture. One choose a street. If I remember correctly, it's in Italy. This picture shows more blocks than you can see. Everything has a curve. Just enough to know that this is some kind of round pot. These 2 stones are a rectangular form. As you can see, I'll lower the opacity of this picture. That's it, I'll lower the opacity of this one, and I will draw and analyze. Let's see if this picture has any blocks outside of nature. I'll analyze it. We'll zoom in. Choose a different color. Red. How will we analyze a picture like this? And in the wild, how do people represent these blocks? This one has rules. It's all about perspective. although it does not follow 100%, but it will still follow the perspective, and it forms solid lines that we can recognize. We will create the thickness of this door. Same goes for this pot. You can see it in nature. Objects will be composed of many side faces, and it gives the object character, depth, and volume. So this course will focus on how you will draw shapes as much as possible. When you know it by heart, it will be much easier for you to handle. Our drawing will be more correct. It will have more blocks. Here is the round pot. The top line of this round pot is perpendicular to our eyes, so it will slightly form a straight line when the bottom of the pot is more deviated. Compared to the horizon, it will have more curvature, and from that we can realize that this is a pot with a cylindrical shape. These are structural lines. It will make it easier for you to understand. Similar to this potted plant. Same as always. It's also a round pot. If a road misses, it goes parallel to the horizon. Then I will accidentally form a straight line. Otherwise it will have all the curvature. Same goes for other objects. In fact, we should have an exercise to analyze pictures like this. But the exercise of this part is also quite heavy. And after I preview the homework that you guys sent in, I find it quite difficult. So we didn't decide to apply more exercises for you. But this part is for you to understand that everything has a block like this in space. And it's very rare that our paintings are flat. So you should learn this cube as much as possible. This is the analysis step. You find that has a clear block. You can analyze like me. Download a picture and give it a structure. So is this stone. When you understand how important its structure is in the picture, whatever you draw, it will all come out. You will see more sides of a rock. Instead of the stone, you wonder why. We draw rocks or whatever, but it looks flat because you don't apply your spatiality into that picture. Then your strokes will not look much blocky. Same goes for these pictures. Just have your camera tilted up a little. You can see a lot of the upper surface of the object. We will also analyze this pipe. It will have a round form. Like that. It's also a cylinder. Also, you can use the pen tool like this. Press P. You choose the brush size. Then press Enter. Remember to change the brush size and then press Enter. You can see the top of the pipe. It will be more curved because it is farther from the horizon. When you understand why it has to be curved, and why is it so deep, when you redraw it again, you get it. You'll be less likely to get that part wrong if you keep learning by looking at the stars. Then it's lucky, it's right or wrong. Even if it's covered in some places, you'll give up. You notice the chairs that have many clear shapes. It will look a lot more attractive. Compared to the seats, it's too thin. It will look simple, basic. Painting like this will reduce its soul a lot. Of course, some artists can apply flat art. But even so, they will also use some more colors to make sure it has more depth. That requires more technical skills. And in case you draw illustrations, then draw a picture with a little depth. And now there are many artists who draw the depth of the picture. It's getting bigger and bigger. We can take, for example, 𝗍𝗰𝗰𝗍𝗰𝗍. He often uses the convex bridge painting technique. Fisheye painting. It will expand the space more. The seed on the right is flat art. It will be so flat. It will look more boring, lack of information. And about a chair like this, once you understand the structure, it's somewhat even though it's been hidden, we can still draw. That's the advantage of painting with perspective. Any object here has a solid shape for the most part. You can analyze all days, but we understand the importance of drawing with shapes. How good will it be? We will have more specific examples. I have a table here. Contains a lot of food, and it also has its shapes. When we reduce it all to structural form, we will see that everything will have its common shape. Like we look here, we can see many circles knit together to form a hamburger. This is a circle that has more blocks. This too. I will conduct an analysis of this table. What shapes does it include, corresponding to these foods? We will also lower the opacity first. Create a new layer and use a slightly different color to be able to redraw the structure for it. The easiest is this sausage. The easiest is this sausage. We choose red. When you submit your assignments, I ask you to draw this structure as much as possible. Then you will do better. The better the better. Here I will also analyze that it consists of a circular cylinder. Like this, its side looks like this. You already know the structure. After you draw the line over this structure, your line is correct, but it's okay. Some of you draw because you exaggerate the line. Forget the structure in the picture, which leads to it being very wrong. When you know this is a cylinder, even if it's covered, you can still handle it. And we also need surface lines like this. And this surface line is also a requirement in your homework. That is drawing a structure with a surface line. We add surface lines to it. Let us understand how blocks work. Next we have this cup. And it's elliptical. If you draw by hand, it's very difficult, so I will guide you to another tool. You press the M key. You see this on the right side, it has a M key. Usually it is a rectangle like this. If you pull it out, it will be a rectangle, but you can right-click. Select the elliptical tool. It will appear circular, or you can press Shift+M. It will turn into a circular selection. Then you pull it out. It will create circles like this. If you hold Shift, it's always round. And if you let go, it will be free to form whatever you want. Now you drag it so that it is equal to the area of this cup. You put it here. You put in. Drag it horizontally, it will be equivalent. It's only relative. You pulled it right. You adjusted it right. Like this. Then you let go. Press the right mouse button. Choose stroke. Then you choose the size you want to show this line. And what color do you want to choose? Here I choose 6. Then click OK. It will have a line like this. You guys have a perfect ellipse like this. Then next, we'll have. That's it. I'm teaching you one more time. If you feel it's too long, you can reduce the stroke. Let it sink both sides. You can split it into 2 layers, or you can. How to draw the bottom line. We will have a new tool. Because this line will not guarantee the curved bottom line to our liking, which is always an ellipse, so we'll have another tool. It's called the pen tool. I can't remember if I introduced you to this in the second lesson, but I will also guide you again. How to use the pen tool for situations more complicated about curves. Okay. Here, press P. It will show this. Press P. You drag out the point in the middle. Remember to hold the left mouse button. Hold the left mouse button, don't release it yet. Then you choose the second point here. In this case it is redundant. You hold Ctrl. It'll let you tweak it a bit. You adjust it so that it is the way you want it the most. Then continue to select the brush tool and click B. You choose the size and then press Enter. It will immediately fill the stroke up. I adjusted it to size 5. Let's continue to draw the structural lines for it. We will choose a light direction. Once we grasp the structure and choose a light direction, then we will also easily know which areas are dark, which areas are affected by light. This is me drawing the inner structure line. We will continue to analyze the remaining ones, and how will this block be affected by light. We will also analyze further, only the hamburger on the right side. Will not analyze, because it will be part of your homework. So I will not analyze it. And now we will continue to analyze these round cakes. This round cake is simpler. Can you imagine it as a tire? It's like a tire. We will make circles for it. If you just draw the circle, you will realize that it won't look appealing and it'll just look like a round piece. We won't know its thickness. And after we see this cake is slightly tilted, we will define the inside of it like this, and similarly at the bottom. You will also see the underside of this snack. The lines will have curvature like this, although the body won't show these curves. But when you grasp the nature, and we give it the correct curvature, soon we will see this cake has more blocks. If you draw its structure, it will immediately become clearer. Let me darken the color a bit. Similar to the cake on the right. Now we will come to this cake on the right. It's similar, but this time it's upside down. It's upside down. Even if it's face up, we can still see the inside of the cake. Same with the cake we just finished drawing. There you can add a few lines. Like this, we add this road, then will be, understand very well and add light and shadow to it. This one will be simpler. This one looks like a cylinder. Is this a rectangular box? I'm sorry. This is a rectangular box. It has a lot here. You can reduce it. Kind of like this. Now we're going to this cake. We draw the outer contour first. Then inside. Add some surface lines like this. It appeared as a solid block. Okay. Now we will proceed to analyze a sample exercise. It's a hamburger. This hamburger is also in the front direction. Even if you choose the front direction, it will still have blocks. The top of the hamburger can be understood to have a shape like this. Is it going to look like a half of coconut? You can see it like half a coconut, even though this is a picture we took from the front. But it will still have a clear block. You can roughly understand that the top of the cake will look like this. And after we understand that kind of thing, then we will understand why it has a running curve like this. Now I will create a new layer. This is one of the examples that I think is the most obvious for. When the camera is tilted upwards, you will see how clearly the upper surfaces of the objects that make up this hamburger. When we do your homework, the homework will be a bit more Vietnamese. That is, we will analyze a banh mi. And the banh mi sketching exercise is also one of the exercises. But it makes a lot of you stuck in this course. Specifically in this lesson 3, you guys are stuck in this course a lot. Because you guys can't draw or don't meet the requirements. I hope you will pass this post. Because this is one of the articles that laid the foundation for you to understand how structural it is. And the most important, I just used the pen tool. Just like before, just the P key, we will practice. As for the structure, you can overwrite the original image. Because you don't have to redraw, you're analyzing it. So we will overwrite the original image. We will overwrite it to understand what it is made of. I also only use the pen tool. I found it to be very effective. You just drag, then you press P, enter. That it will make shapes for you. And it's clean and beautiful. You can use this while drawing. But don't abuse this pen tool too. Mostly we should still practice drawing more. If you are using an iPad, this will be a bit more difficult to use. I'm also not very familiar with the iPad, so I can guide you guys how to use tools like this. But if you can draw by hand, even better. No problem at all. But don't let the line get too smudged. Here we will continue to analyze the meat. In the West, when people make meat, they also slice it like this. You can understand the structure of the piece of meat works like a plane that is round and then thickens into a super thin cylinder. Next we will use the main tool as a circular selection. Just like before, I instructed the M key. Create a new layer to make sure that when you create this line, it will not be overridden. Or don't stick to the layer. We create a new layer. We create the top plane first. Then stroke. Choose size. Choose color. We can choose another color for analysis, or 2 different objects. This is too thin. I will adjust the stroke to be a bit thicker. Okay. It looks better now. You can make the thickness go down by one way is we press Ctrl+J. It will duplicate this layer. It will create another layer, layer 20 copy. Then you drag it down, it will create thickness. But since its bottom is far from the middle horizon, it will be. And a little more. Here you can adjust it to curve up with Ctrl+T. You hold Shift. You hold Shift. Lower it a little and it will be more curved. It would be more structurally correct, because the line below it is farther from the horizon. So it will be a little more curved. Kind of like that. There, you keep it here. We have new layer like this. And we'll delete the part where it's hidden. We use the eraser to erase this hidden part. Reconnected. Now we will draw this slice. This slice is actually a cylinder. It's also a rectangular box, but because it varies a lot. It's called organic a lot, and its naturalness is so much that we can't. It's hard to reduce it to a box shape, so we can choose like that. As for the bottom part, we draw the same as above, with this pen tool. It's a bit more ragged, but it can still form the same shape as above. It flattened out a bit because it was pressed on, so it's a bit mushy. Continue using the circle tool again. Remember who can't find this tool? Look at the top right corner of my screen. Usually the toolbar is on the left, but I drag it to the right to make it easier to work, so it will be on my right side. It's up to you where it is. Just choose stroke. Those of you who see it as a square, remember to press Shift+M, or you can right-click on the tool. I just created the bottom side for this object. I will expand the canvas so that we can easily. The tool I am recommending, Crop Tool, you will be able to expand this frame. Please check the white color. When you finish painting in the background layer, it will be all white. We can continue on the right side. I'll drag this build over. After we have the structure, we will lower its opacity, combine it into a group. Then we create a new layer, and this time we will overwrite this structure. Now I will draw a hamburger based on the structure that I analyzed. Once it has the structure, you will focus on describe it so that it looks like the painter's drawing. Instead of us machines, how do you look to the left? Draw the same thing again. It will reduce the art of the picture. Here, I use pencil brush. I remember attaching it to you guys. This pencil brush, you can lower its opacity to make it easier to handle. It's up to you. And here, I leave 100%. We will follow this structure line. It also has this vibration on the other side. This is the broken part of the cake. You will draw it like this. And be careful not to be too flat. That means your strokes are shaken, depending on the material of the cake. But don't let it be as flat as the example I just finished. Don't be too flat, but let's have a place to fold out, have a place to fold in. In some places, it's a bit flat. Same with this one too. Sometime we will make it protrude like a little sesame seed on top. And equal. If you spread it too evenly, it will look very mechanical. It lacks the naturalness of paintings. Then I will draw the top like this. We have the surface contour again of the top of this hamburger. When I already have the structure line, I won't be too dependent on the picture on the left. When we understand that the line has to run like that, our job is to make our paintings beautiful and the most natural. Continue below with this leaf. This part of the leaf, it's free form only, which means you can draw freely. Of course, this is just a sample exercise. That means you won't have to redraw this hamburger. But we will proceed to draw our own Vietnamese bread. It's going to be a little more complicated. Knowledge will also pack in the area of this hamburger. I'm just giving an example. The leaf. You can draw naturally, so that make it look like a leaf. It also doesn't have to be the same as the model for what I just draw like this. You guys draw slowly. I draw these gently. Just chill. There's no need to be in a hurry, because these articles are important for you to understand. What about the fact that you draw it out so quickly? It has no effect at all. If I draw according to the model, I know I have a lot of friends. It's okay to be able to draw according to the pattern, but why do lines work like that? Usually you won't understand, and if you don't have a template, you'll have a lot of trouble in shaping. So if you've learned the structure, everything will be easier for you. This part of the card is usually the hardest part. Connect several lines to make sure that is. This vegetable also has its block. Add some streaks, form the veins of vegetables. Take it easy. Connect it. We'll see that it's a bit out of the way. Lower the opacity a little more so we can see better. Now we will continue with the drawing of the meat. Oh no, draw a piece of tomato. Tomato first. Tomatoes are simpler then. It doesn't vibrate much. It's just a little bent due to the tomato slice. Much simpler. Next we will draw the meat. The piece of meat has more convex surfaces. You will also be able to push your hand a little bit more freely. Vibration has a place to enter and exit. From time to time it gets a little lumpy, because it's the type of beef press. Draw all the way like this. We'll see if we hit the block later. This cake is going to be huge, but for now, let's just stick to the structure line. Which one can show the surface? Okay, you guys show it. We are not in a hurry. This is a piece of cheese. You draw slowly. I see that some of you draw quite quickly. The line looks so sloppy. But these are, as you can see, I drew them. It also takes 30 minutes for a picture like this, so you don't have to rush to do anything. Followed by the second piece of cheese on the bottom. Here you should give it some thickness. You bend it down here. Our cheese will be thick. And you guys cut it to harsh. Look at the piece will be as thin as a piece of paper. Here too. Similar to this side, we will also raise the brackets a bit. Then I started to draw. It will have the thickness for this piece of cheese. Here's another piece too. Now let's continue with the vegetables again. Connect it so that the vegetable also has the mass of the vegetable. Finally, we have the bottom side. Underneath, this time it's less lumpy, because it doesn't have many sesame seeds. You just connect it. The vibrations of our hands inadvertently create a good surface. 4. Our hamburger. Vegetables a little on this side too. There you see, I'm almost done. Line version for this hamburger. And now we'll think about it. How to make it block more clear. How do we have a clearer block? Here we can identify this bottom face. It will receive more darkness instead of light, because the light when we choose one light direction to the right, the lower part will receive less light. Now you will choose a light source, and your homework should also have a light source. And this part, I'm talking about a shadow. What is 𝗷? When two objects are placed close to each other, it will automatically create a shadow without light. It will automatically create a shadow, and you don't need to make light. For example, this is the street in the corner. It will always have a small shadow in that slot. I will give you an example. You put a sphere on a surface. We will always have a little light below. That's called 𝗷, called exposure light. It's called a contact ball, and I will add this 𝗷 shadow. Come in for this hamburger. And the second one is even light. Even light will create 𝗷. What I mean here is that even though you guys leave the object in the studio environment, means even light environment, then this 𝗷 still appears. Now you guys just let it go, even if you're in the studio. When you close your fingers, between the slits of the fingers, there is a small black shadow. It's called the 𝗷 shadow, the object's contact shadow. It always exists no matter where the light is. It still generates 𝗷. In this picture, we will still apply that formula a little, means which objects it is close to each other. It will create a small shadow. And the last one is that we have to identify the light source for hitting blocks. Here I will choose a light source above, diagonal down like this. From there I will analyze the block of this hamburger. I will hit it. I draw a light bulb. Draw a light bulb. Then the light bulb will shine diagonally like this. Now we will analyze how this light bulb it affects this hamburger. Instead we draw big round beads. Because the light is diagonal, we have a different expression. When you draw particles like that, it's pretty weird. So we'll have a different expression. You see? When the light crosses like that, the part of it is imprinted. It is the shadow of these seeds. And our expression will be like this. Part of the light direction, the line will be thinner. The part of the shadow is hidden. It will be darker than the bottom part. Since we chose the upper diagonal light source, so the light will always be reflected diagonally from the bottom. Darkness will always appear at the bottom. Kind of like this. Do you see? The right side is because of the light, so the line is thin. The left side because there is no light, the line is thick. It shows the shadow of this bead. That's it. We'll draw sesame seeds like this. We will continue to do it. This side will receive very little light. We will follow that formula. The part that receives less light, the line will be thicker. Just keep going. This exercise is difficult here. We have to describe a lot of small materials like this. You can swipe to make that the above will also be similar. There will also be many sesame seeds. People can still understand. That's it. I'll paint more. Where there is too much missing, we will add more, so that it is also quite even, full surface of this piece of cake. Remember to keep these tips in mind, so that we can apply it to your homework. And this part is below. About this part below, it has absolutely no exposure to light, so this line we can draw thicker. By the way, we will knit it one more layer. And that, let's make it wrinkle a little too, so that people can understand that this cake has a slightly lower thickness. You guys add this, the line is thicker. It's like this. Add thickness to it, because it doesn't receive any light. I did it. You see this piece has a slightly curved bottom area, see? And when we add this black, I'll see it slightly curved down. And accidentally, it also creates a rough surface. Give this pie crust. Now we're going to knit some little lines to create roughness. That's it. Please don't knit like this. But do you guys have a place to knit? It will look more natural. Like I'm giving an example. It will be scattered, but it's not even. It will be bad. Same as above. Places with little exposure to light. Then the line will be more. And here, now we will identify the shadow, the darkness of this vegetable. Since this piece is placed on the vegetables, so have a large amount, the darkness that is pressed by this top cake. You identify that piece. You always paint it black. This part, it is covered, it's called eyeshadow. It is covered. It is very difficult for light to enter this area, and especially when we choose the light source above, it's even harder to get light in this place. The shadow will be darker. I'll draw the same with all the vegetables. The curvature of the vegetables will also affect the shadow. This too. Just paint it black. This is mainly because you can improve your line the best. I hope you guys can improve your lines. The principle that we use line. When do we color in black? When do we knit? It's a little different from the sketch. That's how you can express it without having to knit too much, but still can show that material. Because later, when we take this course, we combine with the application demonstration course. It will create a duo. Makes it easier for you to draw illustrations, based on the fact that we have understood the essence of using line. The shadow is here. I'll just finish this shadow now. Where it's too hidden, I'll just make it black. You see that? Now our vegetables also have a clearer mass. With light in, it will be a lot different. Continue. We have beef. For beef, this upper area is similar. The piece of beef will also be covered by the vegetables. This part we will also darken it. Because that piece is covered, and especially this place, the cheese also covers. We'll give it a little more shadow below. You can see it on the side of the picture. That area is the darkest part of the steak, because it is not affected by ambient light. And it's rough too. I will use an eraser. Erase a little. The parts where it's bumpy. It's a little bit towards the light. Then it will emerge like that. I will delete it too, to create the texture of the beef. Do you see? Please delete it lightly. You can choose the eraser brush as well as the pencil brush. We are drawing. And now let's start drawing more of this grainy, since this area is quite light receiving. It's the bottom side, so here we will knit more lines. This pencil will also help you. Good at creating beef material. Knit here thick. The closer you get to the light source, the thinner this knit will become. Just keep going with that recipe. Here we darken, because the dough of the hamburger is very clear on the beef. It's more sparse here, because it's starting near the light source. Will be a little more sparse. We add some surface lines on top. Give it a little roughness. Same goes for this side too. I made a piece of meat. So is this piece of cheese. This cheese is whiter, cleaner. We just need to add a small line. It's already out. This part, I crisscross a little. Because it's hidden. I will crisscross the ones you want. Has impact, but it's thinner. You guys crisscross your hands. Take it easy. Now we will continue with the vegetables below. Same with the old recipe. It's also simple. Once you get the hang of it, just keep going. Your homework is quite interesting. That's it, I add shadow. Any vegetable that is curved down, its shadow will also be curved down. Curve down. There are some places where I stumble. You can read the sub below. We have also supported you by. We hired a team to sub back the teacher's words. For teachers who often say mistakes like me. Because I also shoot one shot a lot. We also hired a friend to sub back. And I hope that sub will help you. We can understand what we say. Here I knit. Take it easy. Knit this curve to create this hamburger block. Take a look at the overview. You will see this cake starting to have a clearer block. And it's a lot nicer than the previous line. Now let's slap it back. Whatever we need, we add more. And if it's okay, that's okay. I just demoed you a hamburger. This is a sample exercise. You guys will do what I've done so far. Then you do the same thing again. I also attached this sample exercise to the exercise file, so that you can sit and study. See how to describe it. You guys just stick to the knowledge that I said just now, plus the attached sample. Then choose a clear light source. You will do it again with 2 exercises. With bread homework, this bread exercise, you will analyze it. Give me a copy of the structure on the left side, and a final line on the right side. Structure is very important. You have to analyze it. Analyze how it includes. As you can see, I am analyzing the sample for you to see. How will it be constructed? And you must be able to draw the inside of this bread, so that you can understand what a piece of bread is made of. You will also analyze the same. This is my sample analysis. It may be a little distorted. You can also use the pen tool to be able to help you make this piece of bread okay. If the remainder is bad, it can be discarded. I'm drawing the surface of a piece of bread. Here is the piece of bread below. You draw like this. This is just my example. You do it better, you do it right. It will be better. We will have a copy of this structure. You must make a structure. Then you draw the line based on the analyzed structure. Only then will you be effective on the line. It will be less counted as you studying. How do you draw stars on the other side? Do you draw them again? But you don't understand why the line is like that. You draw on the structure. Only then will today's study be effective. It will be useless. And remember to choose a light source for yourself. Draw the light source in your homework too. You draw that light source. You hit the arrow in, so that I can understand what you guys are doing. Then give me a final line version. Just like this. Just like this. The final line version like this includes light source, AO. And there is a description of the material of the item you are drawing. It's your homework request. Hope you guys did well on this exercise, because it is the premise for all future exercises. It's shading, understanding structure. It is very important. The better you get through this article, the less tired you will be later on. I also said this before, because of your exercises, the difficulty will increase gradually, so any exercise will be applied later. I hope you will put all your effort into making this article well. I hope that you will have the motivation to surpass you before. Pass this exercise. Wish you have fun and successful exercise. Bye bye.
Please like and subscribe to our channel.